The Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen, brought to you by Harvey Autos in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you've trusted for years. Geico, the insurance savings you expect. Supreme Chevrolet, expect more from Supreme Automotive Group and Gonzalez. Total Car Care, tire shop and automotive repair in Baton Rouge. Bollinger Shipyards, 75 years of delivering high-quality vessels. Here's your host, Lee Burkeen.
Hi everyone, I'm Lee Burkeen, host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Today's show is going to cover the All-Louisiana team for South Louisiana. And what that is, it's the top players in the state for recruiting. And it's a list that I do every year since 1997 for Louisiana Football Magazine. I thought I would share it on the podcast instead of put it on the print first or put it on the internet. We could share it and I could talk a little bit more about the players. This is a list of players too that I've seen play personally for the whole state, going to games every year, going to practices, going to games over a 4-year period. Some of these kids I've seen 4, 5, 6, 7 times each over a 4-year period. Some I've seen just this year. Some are new kids that started just their senior year. Some of these guys didn't play their senior year, but if they're the best of the best, I'm not leaving them out. And I thought we could share this to help kids out, to help promote them, and not leave out guys just because they're not on list on the internet and just because they're not on list, nationally. A lot of these guys deserve to be. But these are kids that coaches might not want me to bring up because they want to keep them hidden for the second sign-in period, but I'm going to release all of the names and a little bit about everybody on the show today. This is for the offense for the South Louisiana, All-Louisiana team. We're going to do a North Louisiana next week, but we're going to do 2 shows. We're going to do part 1 of offense and part 2 because the show's going to be too long. We're going to do part 1 defense and part 2 defense for South Louisiana. We'll be right back, and we're going to start with quarterbacks. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast, the Louisiana Football Magazine 2023 All-Louisiana football team from this past season, all seniors, class of 224 seniors. There aren't any juniors on the list. That's done on purpose just because there's so many good seniors to mention, and it's for this signing class based on this year, this past football season. Let's go ahead and start with quarterbacks. And before we get started, I also want to remind you to please hit the like button up top, the subscribe button, the share button, and also the button to be able to get the shows every week. Make sure you can catch every show that we do. So please subscribe for free to our show. It'll help us grow and do more in the future. But let's get started with quarterbacks. These are not in any order. It's just randomly top quarterbacks in the state of Louisiana. First quarterback, Juwan Johnson from Lafayette Christian High School. Juwan is 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. Broke every record you can think of in Louisiana for yards and passing yards in the history of Louisiana. Won 3 state championships. Took his team to seems like a championship every year he was a starter. His senior year, they did not go to the state championship game, but he had a great senior year. Juwan, what makes him so special, to me, he reminds me of Bryce Young, quarterback Alabama. The Alabama version, not the pro version, but the Alabama version. He's very, very nimble in the pocket. I truly believe that he could be a quarterback at LSU and not just a corner or a safety. If they give him a chance at quarterback and the other guys struggle, I'm talking about once Nussmeier graduates, this guy could be a phenomenal quarterback because he has a cannon arm. People might not realize this. He can throw the ball 75 yards. And he's a 4.5 40 guy, so he's a dual guy. And not just that, but when you rush him in the pocket, he'll stay in the pocket, he'll scramble, and he throws beautiful balls down the field and completes them. That's what made him so special at Lafayette Christian. So Juwan Johnson makes our All-Louisiana team at quarterback. The next quarterback in Lafayette is Sam Altman at St. Thomas More High School. Sam is 6'3", 195 pounds, won 2 state championships back-to-back at St. Thomas More. Doesn't get the notoriety that Walker Howard got at St. Thomas More, but to me, just as good of a thrower, more of a pocket passer, but a very good arm, and the kid has got a lot of talent. Not getting a lot of big offers early, but he probably will get a D1 offer in the second signing period in February. The next quarterback that I think's got a lot of talent. There's several quarterbacks in the state. This was a list that I'm telling you, it's so much talent in Louisiana. Staying in Lafayette, Preston Welch from Turlings Catholic, who played against Lafayette Christian, played against St. Thomas More. Preston, 6'2", 210, has a cannon arm, 3-year starter for Turlings Catholic school in Lafayette. Preston's a pocket passer, but can move around if needed. Very athletic, built like a linebacker, but moves around very well in the pocket again, and can throw all the passes. Preston Welch, to me, is a D1 player. Continuing on, Ashton Levi from Bogalusa. Probably the guy you haven't heard of. As good as any quarterback in the state. 6'1", 200 pounds. Ashton has the best arm in Louisiana. Now, everybody I'm talking about, I'm bragging about him, but the best arm, just arm, is Ashton Levi from Bogalusa. He can throw the football, ladies and gentlemen. Just watch a couple of full game films of him, not highlight tapes, but watch a couple of full game films like I did. His junior year and senior year, the kid can absolutely spin the ball. Ashton is a class of 224. All these guys are seniors. I think he looks like Steve McNair to me. You know, when Steve McNair was at Alcorn State, who was not highly recruited and played a long time with the Tennessee Titans, the late Steve McNair. Continuing on at quarterback, Abram Johnston at Parkview Baptist. Abram is 6 foot tall, 190. Forget the size. He's a phenomenal athlete. His mom was a swimmer at Stanford and a great, great, great athlete. His family's full of college athletes that played sports. Abram's going to be a phenomenal quarterback in college. He's a leader. He's got a cannon arm. When flushed from the pocket, he'd make great plays. Great, great player, Abram Johnston. Another player in Baton Rouge, staying in Baton Rouge, Daniel Beal from Catholic of Baton Rouge. Daniel's 6'3", 200. Won 3 state championships. Won one this year as a senior. Just a winner with a cannon arm. A lot of people say, well, Daniel can't run. I don't believe that. This Catholic High was so good at running back, he didn't have to run the ball for that offense. He was just a guy that they wanted to stay in the pocket and do that, and he's a great quarterback. He's going to UL, signed with UL Raging Cajuns. They got a big-time steal, I believe. Daniel could take that job as a true freshman, possibly. The last quarterback I want to mention is Cameron Dorsey from Salmon High School in Slidell, Louisiana. Cameron is a guy you probably never heard of, but he's a 4'5", 40 guy. He's a cannon arm guy, got a great arm. He's 6'1", 190. And if you see the kid on film, you see him in person, he's a phenomenal football player that can play quarterback. He's become a quarterback his senior year. His junior year, he had a good year, but his senior year, man, this kid can throw the ball all over the place. He can run. The perfect dual quarterback. I think he'll sign somewhere second signing period and be a heck of a quarterback for some lucky school from Salmon High School. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the running backs for the All-Louisiana team, South Louisiana team in Louisiana for the class of 224. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast for Louisiana Football Magazine. Our show today covers our All-Louisiana team for South Louisiana, which is comprised of Lake Charles, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa Parish, Houma Lafourche Parish, everything south of Alexandria. And then next week we'll do the North Louisiana All-Louisiana team for Alexandria, Monroe, West Monroe, Shreveport, Bossier, Natchitoches, Faraday, Vidalia, everything north we'll cover next week and have an offense-defensive All-Louisiana team for North. Today, this show is going to be offense for South Louisiana. We just talked about the quarterbacks. Let's go up to the screen, and we're going to go ahead and start with Shane Lee. Shane Lee is a running back from Destrehan, 5'9", 5'8", 215 pounds. The most physical speed/power in the state for the last 3 years. Started 4 years for Destrehan. One of the main reasons they were so good and won the state title in 222 because of Shane Lee was one of the main reasons. This kid was not offered by Alabama or LSU, but he's good enough to be a starter in the SEC, I think. A big-time player. And the next running back Fred Robertson from Warren Easton, 5'9", 180. The fastest, most compact running back in the state, runs a 4.45. Has power, more power than you think he would have. Not a big guy, but man, what an explosive, athletic, gifted kid. A 4-year starter for Warren Easton, which is not easy to do. Fred is a big-time back. The next back that I like that people probably haven't heard of much is Kentrell Perry from St. Thomas Aquinas private Catholic school in Hammond, Louisiana. Kentrell is 6'1", 210 pounds. Showed me a lot of power. I went to a game his senior year. His junior year, he was pretty good too. But this kid can really get down the field in a hurry. He's a 4.59 guy in the 40, and he's got a lot of power. Perry is, for some reason, not being recruited by the SEC schools yet, but maybe in the second signing period you might see him go D1. Barry Remo, a running back from Catholic of Baton Rouge, is the next running back, 5'9", 5'8", about 195. Reminds me a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire from Catholic High, who had a great career at LSU. Is currently with the Kansas City Chiefs. Barry is very similar. Powerful, more than you thought he would be because he's not a big guy, and very quick hitting the hole. Got a great burst. Very big-time sleeper from Catholic High, Baton Rouge, Barry Remo. The next running back, who's a big guy from the North Shore, actually Tangipahoa Parish area, right there at Ponchatoula High School, Clyde McClendon, from Walker High School, I'm sorry. Clyde McClendon from Walker is one of the main reasons Walker High School had such a good year this past year, one of their best seasons in the history of the school, the best season in the history of school for playoff wins. They were close to going to a state championship game. Clyde was one of those main reasons. He's 6 foot tall, 220 pounds. Not a 4.4 guy, but a guy that when he hits the hole has a lot of power, has a great burst, and he's tough to deal with, tough to tackle, and he's all muscle. The next running back is Vernell Joseph, a kid I was able to see the last 2 years play at Southside High School in around Lafayette area, which Youngsville area is Southside High School. Vernell has power, a ton of power for a guy 205, 5'10". Really enjoyed watching Vernell play. I think he could play SEC ball. People might say, well, Lee, you're crazy. He's not ranked. Again, these are guys that I saw play that aren't ranked that can play big-time football. There's a great list of players that we're going to keep talking about. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the rest of the running backs, and we're going to talk about a different position also coming back. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Just wanted to get back with everybody about our team. There's a lot of information to go through for this All-Louisiana team. We're on our offense that we're talking about for South Louisiana, seniors only. The rest of the running backs I want to talk about is David Harris from Covington High School. David goes 6 foot, 220 pounds. Missed most of the senior year this past year because of an injury. What a phenomenal player David is. I saw his junior year at Covington. He was on his way to dominating the state this coming year. Can't leave him off the list because he's one of the best in the state. David's an SEC back. Another running back is Kyrie Langley in Baton Rouge, 5'10", 195, 200 pounds from Scotlandville High School. Kyrie's been a 3-year starter, 4-year letterman at Scotlandville, has a lot of speed, a lot of power, and he's got a great burst when he hits the hole. Will have a great future. They've produced a lot of great running backs at Scotlandville. The name that I remember the most is Brandon Bolden, who played many years with the Patriots and Ole Miss. And they've had some other ones recently that have signed out of Scotlandville High School. Wide receivers is going to be the next position. We're going to take an early break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the long list of receivers we have. It's a great year for wide receivers. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast and also Louisiana Football Magazine. We're doing our Louisiana Team South today, offense, part 1. Our final position for this show for part 1 is wide receivers, which is going to take a long time to go over. There are quite a few wide receivers in the state. Just South Louisiana, a bunch of talent. Let's start with Jaden Wells, 6'1", 180 from Lakeshore in the Covington, Mandeville area. What impressed me about Jaden is his ability to get up and get the ball vertically when he has contact. Here's a kid who we always knew he could run, but his senior year, he had some of the most incredible catches down the field in the end zone. When the ball was a 50-50 ball between him and the DB, he always won. He's really come on, became an aggressive receiver, had a great year for Lakeshore this year. Colin Ballette, who is a receiver from Terrebonne and Homa, signed with LSU, 6'3.5", 190. He reminds me of Brian Thomas, a little bit of him, a little bit of Ruben Randall, who came out of Bastrop, went to LSU, played a little bit for the Giants. Basically, you're signing a young version of Brian Thomas, who's going to be about 210 when he's done, probably a little bigger, a little thicker than Brian. But he reminds me of Brian because he runs a legitimate 4.4 in the 40, and he's run as low as a 10-300 meters, which is phenomenal. He'll probably run track at LSU too in the 100, but yet is phenomenal talent. And as a freshman, he'll get a chance to get on the field like Brian did. Brian did not really hit his full spurt as far as his full knowledge of the game until his sophomore year, and I think this kid's going to be the same. But as a freshman, like Brian Thomas, he'll get on the field and be a deep ball threat if LSU needs him this coming season. Keep an eye on Kylan. He's a heck of a talent. Colby Young is the next receiver from Holy Cross. Colby is as smooth as they come. His route running is precision. It's like college routes. His hands are great. He's fast. He looks like a smaller version of Odell Beckham to me. He's signed D1. He's going to have a great future. Colby Young from Holy Cross. The next player, one of the best slot receivers in the state, from Catholic of Baton Rouge, Bradley Wright. This kid has probably got the best game of anybody coming out of high school in Louisiana as far as hands, route running, toughness, and speed. He is phenomenal in the slot, and I think he's going to be great in college football. Bradley Wright from Catholic High of Baton Rouge. The next receiver is a transfer, a one-year guy who played at John Ehret this year, transferred from West Jefferson on the West Bank. Darnell is as smooth as they come, 6'1", 180, can make the catches anywhere on the field. And what impresses me about Darnell O'Quinn, he's very good when someone's covering him, which is not something you see a lot of in high school football. A lot of guys drop passes when there's contact. They usually catch balls when there's no contact, but he's good when defended. Another big name from East St. John High School, DeCare Joseph, who's 5'9", 170, 4'4", legit, great hands, scared of no one, phenomenal in space, will take the hits over the middle, and I'm amazed how tough this kid is and how fast he is. So keep an eye on Joseph from East St. John. He's another slot receiver that can run. Damon Narcisse is the next receiver from Salmon in Slidell, 6'4", 190. Phenomenal athlete. Junior year came on a little bit. Senior year he blossomed. I know you're not hearing a lot about this guy's name, but believe me, trust me, this guy's a big-time D1 player. He'll probably sign in February with a big-time school. He can do it all. The next player at receiver is Joshua Jackson, who is from St. Augustine High School in New Orleans, the Purple Knights. St. Aug's always got a great D1 receiver every year, it seems, going back to the 70s. But Joshua's 6'3", 195, has everything you want in a receiver. He didn't have the stats of Billiard and a few of the others because they have so much talent at St. Aug at running back receiver. St. Aug had 5 D1 receivers when they go 5 wide. And so they even had we're going to talk about a D1 tight end later in the show. But phenomenal talent. Joshua's going to be phenomenal in college. The next player that I want to mention, a sleeper receiver from Plaquemine High School, Aiden Joseph, 6'3", 170, explosive in space, great hands, tough as nails, and can catch the long ball, will catch the tough passes over the middle of the field. I think Aiden Joseph's going to be a 210-pound Kyron Lacey when he gets to college, the kid from Thibodeau that's at LSU that's coming back for his senior year. The next player I like is Cole Gray from East St. John, another receiver from East St. John. 5'8", 160, runs a 4.39 40, and trust me, he's all of that and more when you go to a football game. I watched him dominate many teams, even though he's small. He's a big-time playmaker. That is the first show of our Offense All Louisiana team. I hope you enjoyed it. That's part one. Part two is coming up. A separate show for the rest of the offense, the tight ends, the offensive line, the kickers, the fullbacks. We'll have part two coming up, and I hope you love part one.
Thanks for watching the Sports Scouting Report with Lieber King.